less is more.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, you know, I think that with training, something that I always say, and I've said this saying many a times, is you want to treat your training like medicine. You want to get the maximum effect from the minimum dose. And so, you know, I think I'm pretty much a low volume guy anyway. I'm all about hitting, you know, training as much as necessary and not as much as possible. So go in there, have your exercises, your sets, work them at a high intensity, and then move on.
Yeah, me too. And we're both very much on the same page there. But I think like there's a natural, you know, headspace people are in where more is more. Because in many aspects of life, and if we take other elements of like fitness, if someone said, oh, I'm in a fat loss phase, like how many steps shall I do? It's like, well, more steps in this instance is good if you can commit to 15, 18, 20,000 steps. So I think there's like an intuitive side of people where they like training, they want to build muscle, so in their head they think more is more. And I think like again, there's you're spot on about the intensity and getting the minimum effective, as you said, but I think that comes from advancing, because I think that there is that, you know, if someone's new to training, there's the argument for they haven't learned to train at a high enough intensity. There's a learning curve that has to happen there. And arguably then when you do reach a certain intensity, can you imagine training 7 days a week?
Yeah.
No. You'd be destroyed.
Yeah.
I'd need like I'd be on a 1 week on, 1 week off basis. Do you know what I mean? 1 week on, 4 weeks off basis. Right? It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But it's trying to convince people to get in that headspace, and there's ways. Something that I do when I have worked with clients where they want more and they want more and they want more is not just to piss them off, but I would give them in certain ways less and less and less, because what I'm trying to do, but there might be an AMRAP set, or there might be a very broad rep range, an 8 to 12, and then a set of north of 12 or something. So it's getting into that headspace of stop counting numbers and reps and actually chase intensity, that proximity to failure, because that's where it comes from.
I think when it comes to that less is more, with that idea that more is better. I think that comes with when people are confusing training for a feeling rather than training for a result.
Just training for a pump or
training. Do you know what I mean? Like go in there, they want to feel sweaty, they want to feel exhausted, but that isn't necessarily going to, you know,
be effective.
It's not going to be effective, because how do you you know, where's the repeatability in that? You go in there, you absolutely go to town on legs. Let's say you can't do legs for another 7 days, and then the next time you go in there, you know, we know that you've got to work harder than last time. So if you've already put your ass on the floor week 1, where are you going week 2? Where do you go week 3? You know, and then it just becomes haphazard.
And all I used to get personally from more high, because I've trained a lot of high. I've trained 6 days a week before.
Yeah,
I can't. You know, as much as I was now train 4 days a week and legs at the moment once a week. I've trained legs 3 times a week before. I've trained 6 days a week, but all I used to get was injured. All I used to get was tendonitis, and it was and you have to listen to your injuries as well, because there's the injuries that when something goes pops, it's the nature of the game. Name of the game is things are going to go pop. I always listen to tendons, because they're the ones when they start pinging, especially when it's tendinosis, when it's over. I can't remember, we're getting mixed up. Tendinosis, when it's overuse. Yeah. That's a warning sign. It's that tendons it can't handle what you're actually putting through. And when I look back at the amount of volume that I was actually doing at the time, 25, maybe 30 sets of a muscle group per week. And ironically then reducing that frequency down to, in my case now on some body parts, 6 sets per week, and I grow better on 6 sets. But one of the, without question, reasons for that is I go in harder. That intensity has learned to be, the mindset becomes, I've got 2 sets on this.
Make it count.
Make it count.
Yeah. I think, you know, there's 2 styles, right? And I think each one speaks to your personality. So if you're someone who doesn't like to really get into the trenches and push yourself to that uncomfortable level of, you know, working at intensity that's really hard, then you're going to have to make up with that with more volume, aren't you? by doing more to get the same effect. Whereas if you're someone who can go to the end, fuck.
I was waiting for that as well. I was like, come on.
I looked. I was like 15 seconds. I started going, and then I was
that felt like about
I'm going,
2 minutes
I'm
in
going.
that one.